the Son and the Holy Ghost. I got my mind and my body and my eternal soul. Well, that's a lot to fucking juggle, so I'm just gonna make rock and roll. Before I
Hello, and welcome to Tell Me About Your Song, the podcast where I talk to musicians and songwriters about a song they've written. Today's guest is Nicole Alifante, and the song she'll be talking about is named Before I Go, which is from her album La La La. So where would you like to start with this song?
I mean, I think it all transpired within like 30 minutes on my couch. I just was laying there and it came out, and I put the laptop on my stomach and opened GarageBand and just kind of, that happens not often, but it does happen to me every once in a while, where just like a whole story spills out and I convince the person that I take it to that it's going to be cool, and ultimately it ends up kind of cool. I don't play an instrument, so I write songs, I write melodies and lyrics that sort of pop into my head. And I can pluck melodies out on the piano with like one hand. But when I was putting this album together, I wanted to include at least one or two songs that I had written solely on my own. And so I was feeling a little weighted by what was going on in the world and watching the coverage of the upcoming election. And so I had this lyric in my head, and then I sort of had a melody that popped in with it. And then I actually hummed a bass line. I used that. I opened my GarageBand and I hummed a bass line, and then I sang the melody and lyrics over it. And then I brought it to one of my songwriting partners, and he kind of helped me flesh it out a little bit. It came out pretty quickly. I mean, I had a lot of kind of anger. It's kind of a spicy song if you've listened to it, and I just had like a lot of confusion about what the truth was and why it didn't seem like anybody cared about the truth, and so it came out pretty quickly.
They said to be nice, I didn't think twice, I wasn't thinking at all. I turned the news on and the man said that Rome's gonna fall. Gonna grab my glass slippers and dance my ass off at the bar.
I guess that line is about me. It's like they said to be nice, I didn't think twice, I wasn't thinking at all, And I kind of feel like, especially in this election, I woke up. I think it was like, yeah, I don't know anything. I read as much of the paper as I can, and I listen to public radio, NPR, because I feel like I'm getting, paid for by the people or whatever, and they're not snarky and they're not yelling at each other and being hateful, so it makes me feel better. But I do kind of feel like this just like be nice and, be good to people and mind your own business. And, it's just kind of gotten us all here where I don't think any of us know what's going on. So yeah, that line kind of did stand out for me. And I guess growing up, like just seeing, beautiful girls in dresses going to balls and being saved by boys. And, it's like, I definitely didn't grow up in like this family that was like, be strong woman. They were like, you're talented. We love you. We support you. Be nice. Just go out and be sweet and do what you love to do, And so I think what is my role now in this world? Now that I feel like things are kind of really rocky, to say the least, and I'm a mom, like it's time not to be nice anymore and to figure it out.
They're gonna spin it, gonna fake it, do their time on TV. You can purchase what they're selling, cause you need to believe. Bruised by any other name would still smell like bullshit to me. They got the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. I got my mind and my body and my eternal soul. Well, that's a lot to fucking juggle, so I'm just gonna make rock and roll. Before I go.
That second verse, they got the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. I got my mind and my body and my eternal soul. Like, those are, I guess, those, you can think of these in different ways, but they're kind of different examples of like these kind of trinities, these three things which are different but related and also maybe kind of the same in some ways. And I thought that it was an interesting way to contrast those two. And I just kind of like, one seems very kind of organized religion and the other seems much more personal.
It's cool that you got that because I had always wanted to write. I actually have a song called The Holy Trinity that I had been wanting to write for years, but it was getting very preachy and I didn't know how to say what I wanted to say. And so when I was writing this song, I was like, oh, I could use just one verse and condense my exact feeling into that one verse. So it's exactly what you're saying. It's like, it's like, is it this sort of traditional way of seeing God that is supposed to be the way the way we make rules, the way we control each other, or is it more of like a personal journey? And when this Holy Trinity was written about thousands of years ago or whatever, were people trying to say like, I'm grappling with these three things. I've got my reason, and then I've got this body that's going to just disappear someday, and then I have like something bigger that feels bigger, like my spirit or whatever that is. And so I think it's trying to, it's like they're very much the same. They're also different, and it was kind of my way of of never having to write that other song and just putting it in there. The first couple of verses were pretty visceral, and there was this sort of Cinderella part that came into it that was sort of, it was a little more planned, like the idea of just like, if it's all gonna turn to hell, I'm just gonna grab my glass slippers and dance, like that's like all you can do.
I'm gonna grab my glass slippers and dance my ass off at the bar. Before I go, before I go.
Might have been Sam Hollander or someone in the music biz said, like, if you write a good chorus, make it the verse and then write a better chorus. And I was like, that's a good rule. But this one in particular, I was like, yeah, it's kind of flat before I go, and I was afraid it was not exciting. But then I heard the voices, I heard like a rich, like black woman's voice, and then I heard a guy's voice, and so we tripled and doubled voices, and I felt like before I go is such a simple statement, and I all of a sudden talked myself out of it needing like any acrobatics. I just liked the idea that it kind of grows. Like I say it once, and I think in the second chorus I say it like twice, and then in the third chorus I say it 3 times, and I go up high, And so I feel like it was just my kind of swan song in a way. Like, I hope this shit gets cleaned up before I go. I hope I do something. I make some kind of mark before I'm out of here, because it just seems kind of hopeless right now. So I think it was less of like a hooky hook that I wanted people to remember than it was more of like a statement.
One of my problems as an interviewer is that, like, the instant I think of a question, I immediately kind of question
the question,
the premise of it. So like, I'm going to like, well, what is this about? But then I'm like, well, is it really about one specific thing? Like, is that a good question? It never is. Okay.
Well, but that is a good question, because it's not about one specific thing. I mean, I think that as I was writing it, like the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost crept in there. So it was kind of like, it started out as just like kind of a rage of, what am I hearing? Who's talking at me? What are they saying? Do they believe what they're saying? Am I supposed to believe what they're saying? And I didn't want to be too specifically political. I don't know if I should disclose my politics, but I didn't want to say I hated one candidate or I loved another, or Republicans were better, or I didn't want to get that specific. It was just more like, it sounds like everyone's lying at this point, and it's hard to find like any kind of purity in it. But then the sort of religious connotation kind of jumped in, and so it became not about one specific thing. It started to become about, what is the truth? We look for it in politics. We look for it in God. It's like, where is it? And it did kind of snowball into several different topics. And I don't know, it's funny how someone may listen to it and they could be just, first of all, they could hate it, or they could listen to it and think, oh yeah, this is political, or they could feel like it's something else. It's hard to know. Like this song in particular is the one when I give the CD to different people, I'm wondering like how they'll respond to it because it's pretty, in your face in a certain topic. And I have, Trump supporters in my family and Hillary supporters in my family, and I voted for Bernie in the primaries. And, it's like everyone has their different things. And, it'll be interesting to see how people respond to it. But yeah, I think we don't have a lot of references right now for anything, and I think music is just such a safe and awesome way to express that. I just think it's like the universal language that people can come together on, even if they hate it. If they hate the song, at least it's something to talk about that's kind of safe in a way.
All I keep hearing is stupid sound bites. People are dying, it ain't black and white. Rise above the hatred and make everything alright.
I love bridges. I'm a Bob Dylan fan, but I always wondered what it would be like if Bob had written a bridge. I don't think he's got bridges in any of his songs, but I do love them. I mean, it's a change for the ears, and you're saying something that nobody's heard in the song before, and I just think they're always like where you find the little jewel in the song. So I think maybe all of my songs have bridges. It's funny, so many things were piling on me emotionally at that time. And so there was like the initial thing I talked about, like the anger of just what's the truth. And then the religious thing popped in. And then I had been listening to tons of news. I mean, I've stopped, thank God, but just tons of news about the shootings and, between cops and blacks and just like all the different angles of that subject. And so it ain't just black and white. It's just like
people are dying, it ain't black and white.
People are dying and they are people, and it's not just cops and it's not just black people, and it's people in Syria. It's everywhere, and it just kind of in those four little lines. I personally was saying a lot. However, someone else will hear it will be the way they hear it, but it just comes at you in these little like bullet points and these headlines and these stories that keep flashing by us all day long, and it's kind of desensitizing and sad, and it's like a whole bevy of things. So it was a lot to say, I think, in maybe less words than I would have ever said it. But yeah, that bridge did sort of bring in the element of that people are dying. It started specifically with that issue, and then it kind of morphed. But then in the outtakes, a lot of what Michelle and I sang about was that the people are dying. I mean, there's a lot of that in the outtakes, and rising above the hatred, and so it fed the end of the song.
Probably one of the things that I don't encounter that often that was true in this song is just the fact that, you send me the lyric sheet and basically all of that is in the first third of the song, and then it's just...
There's a lot of songs. Yeah, that was sort of a big decision to make for the album because it's not radio friendly. First of all, there are profanities in it, and it's too long. So I knew I was sort of killing the idea that it could potentially be on the radio, although of course I have a clean short version of it in case anybody wants it. But it didn't have the same spirit as, it did. The inspiration for writing the song was kind of dissipated once I shortened it and took the foul language out. But so that was a big decision to make, and it was improvised. Myself and Michelle, the backup singer, went into the studio together, and we sort of sang back and forth to each other, and we did about 4 tracks. And then the sax player came in and he laid down, some improv about 3 tracks, and we just sort of messed around in that way. And then there was that crazy task of cutting and pasting it. So I would hear something I liked that I did, that she did, that he did, and then we would slowly pull from each track and kind of compose a story that leads us like 6 minutes later out of the song, or however long it is. So yeah, I mean, I did it sort of as a little bit of a wake-up call. Like, I don't think people do that anymore, and I wanted it to go to go in a direction that was sort of a little deeper and a little heavier.
Before you go, let go. Make everything alright. Make everything alright.
Sometimes while I'm writing a song, the song kind of reveals to me like what the important part is. Like I was writing a song and it had this big long chorus, and I realized that whenever I got to the chorus, I just wanted to get back to the verse. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to get rid of half of the chorus and we'll just get back to the verse, and that's what the song is about.
Yeah.
And then there was another song where the verses are like 2 lines long and the chorus is this huge honking thing.
Yeah.
So this song, I mean, more than half of it is that kind of end jam. And I mean, is there a sense in which that's kind of what the song is about?
No, I think so. I mean, I think I was really excited about letting the song play out and letting her voice be heard. And it's not, some like, I didn't pick her because like, oh, she had the best voice. She has an awesome voice, but she's also a Black voice. And that was important to me to have that represented. So I feel like that whole dueling long piece at the end is really kind of like what I was getting to, and it was me expressing my anger in the beginning and then being like, let's just sing it together, let's just come together, scream it to the mountaintops, kill the hatred, and so yes, like you outed me. It definitely was where I was headed. I feel like it also has a little bit of a sense of humor too. There's some like funky horn parts and the guitar goes a little wild here and there, and it's kind of like, it's a little like nanny go, I don't know. I was trying to go there, but who knows?
And then the way it ends real sudden. On this real kind of discordant guitar sting or something.
Yes.
And I think that was great too. Because I was like,
yeah, that was definitely. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just like, is it going to fade out, or how do we get out of this?
Yeah, these were the questions. I mean, when we were rehearsing it too, before the horn even came in and before I had the voices and everything, in rehearsal, we would just like play and jam. And then all of a sudden, like, the drummer would drop the stick and the bass player would be like, and it would just end. Like we would do that on purpose, like just to have fun. And I was like, you know what? I dig it just falling apart, and I guess that was kind of like the theme of the song, which is that I, at the moment, and some days I still do feel like everything's falling apart. So, it's might as well just let the music say it.
So if people would like to hear more of your music, what should they do?
Okay, well, I do have a website, which is NicoleAlifante.com. It's ALIFANTE. My record is up on iTunes, and it's called La La La. And it's on CD Baby as well, and I'm on SoundCloud, and you just fish around and you find me. And I do play out every once in a while in the sort of New York area, so if you're here, come check me out.
Great. My name's Jacob Haller, and I have all kinds of projects going on right now, including music and other podcasts. You can find them all at jacobhaller.com. I have a website specifically for Tell Me About Your Song at tellmeaboutyoursong.com. And I'm also going to put together a blog post with links to all of Nicole's websites and some of the things we've talked about. And I've been including full transcripts of the interviews as well recently. So that should be there. And you can find that at yoursongpodcast.tumblr.com, TUMBLR. And with that said, we're going to go out by listening to the song we've been talking about in full, Before I Go, by Nicole Alifante from her album La La La. Thanks for listening.
They're gonna spin it, gonna fake it, do their time on TV. You can purchase what they're selling, cause you need to believe. Bruised by any other name would still smell like bullshit to me. They got the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. I got my mind and my body and my eternal soul. Well, that's a lot to fucking juggle, so I'm just gonna make rock and roll. They said to be nice, I didn't think twice, I wasn't thinking at all. I turned the news on and the man said that Rome's gonna fall. Gonna grab my glass slippers and dance my ass off at the bar. Before I go, before I keep hearing is stupid sound bites. People are dying, it ain't black and white. Rise above the hatred and make everything alright. Before I go, before I
have never had to do that before in such a intense way. I did have one other song that had curses in it. It was called Saturday Bitch, and a music house wanted it, and so we made it Saturday Chick, and so that was just changing a word, and so no, I never really had to do that before. But in this process, we knew we were going to do it, so it's already all laid out. It just needs to be sent, like via MP3 or WAV file or whatever. But no, I really haven't had to worry about that. This was my first epic Odyssey song.
Right. So how did you approach, does it have the same kind of structure, or did you fade it out, or how did you make it work?
Well, we changed the curses.
Bruised by any other name would still smell like me.
So it's the same exact lyric, except the curses are made to be, I say something else that's, just as strong, but not a curse. And then, to be honest with you, I don't know how we ended it. I can't wait to hear it.